I'm Christy Crisp with the Georgia Historical Society, and I'd like to welcome you to our recently renovated and reopened Research Center in Savannah. Every year, the Georgia Historical Society presents the Georgia History Festival, a series of programs and educational opportunities that allow students of all ages to explore our state's rich history. Today, we're celebrating Georgia Day. Every year, we use the anniversary of the founding of the Georgia colony in February of 1733 to look back at some of the most important people and events in our state's history. Today, we've brought together some of our friends to wish you a happy Georgia Day and to share a few stories from all around our great state. Each year through the Georgia History Festival, we use a theme to inspire our programs and school activities. This year, we're looking at the important role that land has played in our history. Our theme is From Marshes to Mountains, Georgia's Changing Landscape, Geography, History, and Community. Throughout the festival, we've been exploring how Georgia's land has impacted its people and how people have impacted the land. We're glad you've joined us for this special Georgia Day program. We also appreciate the support of our sponsors who make this and all of our programs possible. In particular, we'd like to thank our lead sponsors, Chick-fil-A, Delta Airlines, Georgia Power, Gulfstream, Georgia Ports, the Home Depot Foundation, and Norfolk Southern. We're grateful for the support of these and all of our Georgia History Festival sponsors. So what is Georgia Day? To tell us more about this important anniversary and why we commemorate it, the Georgia Historical Society's senior historian, Dr. Stan Deaton, will tell us a little bit more about the founding of the Georgia colony.
Thanks, Christy. I'm down here on what is now River Street in beautiful downtown historic Savannah, near the site where General Oglethorpe first landed in Georgia with 112 passengers aboard the ship Anne. They landed on February 12, 1733, the very first Georgia Day, and they were glad to be here. They had been at sea for over 3 months since leaving England in November 1732. Now, General Oglethorpe knew where he was coming. He had scouted this area with the Carolina Rangers a couple of weeks earlier. When he arrived, he of course was representing the group known as the Georgia Trustees. This group founded the 13th colony here in North America under the motto Non Sibi Sed Aliis, which means not for self, but for others. But they were not the only ones here. The Yamacraw Indians were here under the leadership of Tomochichi. General Oglethorpe knew that if this colony was going to be a success, he was going to have to make allies with the Native Americans, and he did. Ever since Georgia's founding in 1733, Georgians have commemorated Georgia Day every year since. They've also remembered Georgia's founder, James Edward Oglethorpe, in lots of different ways, none better than this magnificent statue here in Chippewa Square. This statue was created by Daniel Chester French, who also created the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm standing here in Chippewa Square, also a great legacy of General Oglethorpe's. General Oglethorpe laid out the first 4 squares in 1733. The city of Savannah has continued to follow that plan for almost 3 centuries. Originally, there were 24 squares. There are now 22 remaining. It continues to be, perhaps, General Oglethorpe's greatest legacy. We are studying land this year in the Georgia History Festival, its impact on the people and the people's impact on land. Where better to do that than here in these magnificent squares of Savannah, General Oglethorpe's greatest legacy.
Hello and happy Georgia Day. My name is Griff Lynch and I'm the Executive Director for the Georgia Ports Authority. Behind me is the single largest container terminal in all of North America. And going back to 1733, when James Oglethorpe sailed up this river, he could never have known what this state would become and how important the ports would be. We handle big ships, trains, containers, and trucks, and we service not only Georgia, but the entire Southeast. We have operations in Northwest Georgia, Northeast Georgia, Atlanta, and Brunswick. Congratulations and happy Georgia Day.
Well, we've just heard a little bit about how important land or geography has been in the founding and growth of Georgia. Obviously, the location of Savannah on the Georgia coast has impacted not only the development of the city, but of the state as well. But all of Georgia's regions have developed, at least in part, because of their geography and location. Let's look at some of Georgia's other communities and examine how where they are help determine how they look today.
In the years after the American Revolution, Georgia's population moved westward and Georgia's capital moved as well. In 1802 in Middle Georgia, the land immediately west of the Oconee River had just been opened up by a treaty with the nearby Creek Indians, who agreed to give up part of their ancient homeland. Georgia's population was moving west in search of new farmland, and in 1803, Milledgeville, named for Governor John Millage, was carved out of the Oconee wilderness for settlement. In 1804, the state legislature made Milledgeville the new capital of Georgia. The new town, modeled after Savannah, was located on the edge of the frontier, where the upper coastal plain meets the Piedmont. Milledgeville's growth and central location made it a magnet for power and wealth, and it played a major role in the rise of both the Cotton Kingdom and the institution of slavery in antebellum Georgia. Georgia's secession convention met in the state capitol in Milledgeville in 1861 and voted to take Georgia out of the Union, bringing on the Civil War. In November 1864, General William Sherman and the United States Army marched into Milledgeville on their march to the sea, and within 4 years, Georgia's capital had moved on to Atlanta.
Hello, I'm Swan Seiler. For over 100 years, Georgia Power has provided the energy to fuel this great state. We are proud once again to sponsor Georgia Historical Society's Georgia Day celebration.
The lure of making money from cotton and the water power of the Chattahoochee River shaped the city of Columbus for more than a century after the city was founded in 1828. As Georgia's population moved westward in the early 19th century, state leaders recognized the economic potential of a new town on the Chattahoochee River at the fall line. Located at the head of river navigation, Columbus first boomed as a cotton trading center. Entrepreneurs quickly harnessed the river's power, and Columbus became one of the South's earliest and largest mill towns. The 1836 Creek War forced the final removal of the nearby Native Americans, and the countryside around Columbus boomed in the new cotton economy powered by slavery. The Chattahoochee River linked the city's economy south to Apalachicola, Florida, and eventually to the world cotton market, primarily Liverpool, England. With the arrival of the railroad, cotton moved instead to Atlanta, and Columbus became a major mill town as the Chattahoochee's water power was put to other uses. Mills and industry flourished, and thanks to the power of the Chattahoochee River, Columbus became one of the most important manufacturing cities in the South in the years before and during the Civil War. In the 20th century, with the establishment of what became Fort Benning in 1918, during World War I, Columbus became home to one of the most important military installations in the country. North Georgia has always been a place of natural beauty and natural resources. It was the ancestral home of the Cherokee Indians for millennia before their forced removal in the 1830s. With the discovery of gold in North Georgia in the 1820s, white settlers swarmed over the country that belonged to the Cherokee. Their forced removal by the state and federal government opened the land for white settlement and eventually the spread of cotton production and slavery. The cooler climate and scenic beauty of the region led to the establishment of antebellum summer resorts in Clarksville, Cleveland, and Tallulah Falls. After the Civil War, the forests of North Georgia were logged for timber and mined for copper. Much of the mountain forests were stripped bare, and by the early 20th century there was a national movement to restore and preserve these forests. Georgia's Blue Ridge Mountains were some of the first acquired by the U.S. government for this purpose, and the Chattahoochee National Forest was established in 1937. Since then, one of the most important benefits of the Chattahoochee River has been as a clean water source for Metro Atlanta. The North Georgia Mountains are now a major tourist attraction and include some of Georgia's most popular state parks, as well as the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail at Springer Mountain, making this land of natural beauty and natural resources an important part of our state's rich history and culture. When it comes to Georgia's current capital, nothing has been more important than geography and the ways the city grew. Atlanta has become the most important city in our state, but its beginnings were very different. Atlanta is located in the Upper Piedmont, far from the coast, and its founding can be traced to two events in our history: the removal of Native Americans from northwest Georgia in the 1830s and the spread of the railroad into the interior of our state. Atlanta was founded more than a century after Savannah. In 1837, the Western and Atlantic Railroad staked out a point on a ridge 7 miles east of the Chattahoochee River as the southern end of a rail line they planned to build south from Chattanooga, Tennessee. The town was called Terminus, which literally means end of the line. Two other railroad lines later converged in the center of town, and the city now called Atlanta was on its way to becoming the commercial and transportation center that it remains to this day. Because of its importance as a railroad hub, during the Civil War, Atlanta was strategically vital to the Confederacy and became a major target for the United States Army. General Sherman captured the city in 1864, ensuring President Lincoln's re-election and breaking the back of the Confederacy. Atlanta rose from the ashes in the years after the war. It became our state's fifth capital in 1868, and in the 20th century, its growth continued. Atlanta played a major role in the Civil Rights Movement, and the Centennial Olympics came to the capital city in 1996. Today, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport is one of the busiest in the country, continuing Atlanta's historic role as a transportation mecca for Georgia and the Southeast.
Hey everybody, Dick and Kathy from Chick-fil-A. Happy Georgia Day!
Wow, Stan, thank you for taking us on a great tour of our state.
Thank you, Christy. It's always a pleasure to talk about our shared past and explore the many people and places that make Georgia what it is today. I also want to thank our sponsors again for making this video and the 2022 Georgia History Festival possible. And we thank all of you for spending part of your day with us. We hope that you had fun and maybe learned something new along the way. We hope that you have a wonderful Georgia Day and that wherever you go, we hope you strive to live by the motto of the original Georgia trustees: non sibi sed alis, not for self, but for others. On behalf of Christy, me, and all of the Georgia Historical Society, Happy Georgia Day!